All right, welcome back everyone to our next session where we're going to talk about process efficiency on testing your product with Roy Katzir, Deputy CEO and Chief Strategy, BizDev, Data and Digital Officer at Cal by Visa. To moderate this session, we have Chad Friedman, Regional Sales Manager for APAC at Applause. So I'm going to leave the introductions to them. Chad and Roy, could you guys come on stage?
Hey, great to be here.
All right, well, take it away.
Okay, so thank you for the intro, and it's a pleasure to host Roy Katzir on this panel. My name is Chad Friedman. I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Applause in Southeast Asia, and I will let Roy introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Roy Katzir, and I'm the Deputy CEO, Chief Strategy, BizDev, Data and Digital Officer at Cal, the fastest growing credit card company in Israel and the leading in advanced digital payments. We also act as the local partners of Visa and MasterCard. I was also one of the founding partners of Israel's first digital bank called 10. And prior to that, I acted as head of retail sales and customer service at Poalim, the largest bank in Israel, managing all the retail sales around 10 billion shekels a year. In between, I was chief of staff in marketing and commerce division in Shufersal, which is the largest grocery chain in Israel. Great to be here.
Very impressive. Great to have you, as always. So before we get started, just a quick review of what we'll be discussing today. So we'll start with a brief overview of Applause, who we are, what we do. And then I'll basically be interviewing Roy. We'll have some questions and answers on his experiences working with Applause, some of the challenges that he's been through prior to working with us. We'll talk a little bit about solutions, about how Applause brings a disruptive approach into the market, and then a little bit about results. That'll be about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll leave the floor open to a couple of questions and answers. So those of you who are listening, feel free to shoot us some questions over. We have, as you can see, an industry expert with us who can share his insights. So to kick things off, for those of you who haven't heard of us, Applause is the global leader in what's called real-world testing and digital quality. In essence, we believe that all digital experiences should work the way our customers expect them to. So that's pretty much why, since we founded the company, our mission has been to help brands deliver better products by helping them mitigate the gap between testing their products in what we call a lab environment versus testing them in the wild or in the real world on real users where they pretty much sleep, work, and play. We partner with some of the largest brands or the greatest brands, both across verticals, a lot of large tech companies, to basically ensure that their digital assets and the experiences that they're creating are of the highest quality and they work as intended. Our approach has always been testing and through our vetted community. We have a global vetted community of nearly 1 million digital experts around the world. And the types of testing that we do are in the areas of manual functional testing, exploratory testing, automation, regression, UI and UX, payment testing, and that's just to name a few. In essence, it's pretty much what questions you have and what answers we can use through mimicking your real customer base. In essence, what this enables product managers to do is it enables them to move fast, to develop faster, and release their products with confidence that they will work properly in the real world. So that's, in short, about who we are and what we do. Let's dive into things, Roy. Always an interesting topic to start with, challenges. We love challenges. Challenges are what help us progress, what help us move forward. So my question to you is, prior to working with Applause, what would you say your main challenges were, both in terms of maybe industry-wide challenges and challenges specific to your products?
Well, that's a great question, Chad, for the beginnings. My relationship with Applause began during my time at the first digital bank, We were on a journey to build an organization that would disrupt the local banking industry. Being that Israel is considered the startup nation, the stakes were amazing and very high. So if I were to highlight some of our challenges, I think the most probably began during design phase. Our goal was to build a digital-only, mobile-only customer experience for a bank that has no branches, nor was it even ever going to have any. Another challenge was the ability to handle both cash and check deposits without actually owning any ATM. What else? I think new customer onboarding and KYC, experience versus regulation. This was where Applause really helped us remove a lot of friction, but I'll expand it on that in a bit. And another big challenge was around how we were going to develop new bank application that will outperform advanced legacy banking apps and that will provide trust in the hands of our real customers. After all, we were the new kids on the block over here in Israel.
Yeah.
I think also important to mention, it's our target market. We're not only targeting young, tech-savvy users, but also families and other customers across the board. And I think basically our goal was to offer an intuitive and frictionless way to measure their finances.
So basically what you're saying is that, when I hear digital bank, all I think of, about is, early adopters or people that are, tech savvy, forward thinkers. But what you're saying basically is that you try to tailor the product to fit the entire demographic, right? People across the board, not just people who are tech savvy. And that trust does sound like a very big challenge. I myself, I'm part of a legacy bank, and moving to a digital bank, is a little bit scary for me at times, but I'm glad you brought that up. But these problems that you're mentioning, they sound very familiar when you're building a product from the ground up. What would you say was different about the product or the brand that you were building?
I think I can talk about this topic all day, but if I were to summarize the main difference, it would probably be that what's important to understand is that we were building something that hadn't yet existed before. And we were trying to do so by taking a bite out of the market share and other existing banks. I think at the end of the day, we had to be super crisp when it came to defining our target market and building a product that will persuade people to leave the current banks or the comfort zone to move to the digital bank. In a way, our early adopters really took a leap of faith.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, so what kind of partner were you looking for, and why did you choose to work with Applause?
Great question. So I think, it was a while ago, but if I remember correctly, we were looking for an objective way to test our products and understand if we were meeting or exceeding the expectations of our customers. I personally don't believe in focus groups or beta communities who operate in the closed and sterile environments. There are too many limitations with that approach, and I can write a book about it. But I think at the end of the day, we looked for a high-touch solution that we can monitor over an extended period of time that will help us track our progress. And if I may say, the cherry on top was that this was all eventually done through authentic customer feedback. We also looked for a company that can provide a large variety of users, devices, configurations at scale. So I think that we can also track patterns and cross it with the data we were gathering over time with no limit to scale. So if I were to summarize it, we looked for an unbiased model that can verify our value proposition and validate it before we launch.
Nicely put. I like the way you ended with that last sentence. So in essence, you were building a product, a brand, and you were looking for a way to validate if what you were building, right, would actually work on real customers, if I were to summarize it in my own words. Very, very cool. Let's talk for a second about the solution, right? Okay, so you were looking for a partner to help you along the way. How would you describe the experience of working with Applause, and what do you value about the collaboration with our teams over time?
We love that the fact that Applause gave us access to real customers, real users who were unbiased. I think this enabled us to validate many of our assumptions, like instead of being hit with a social media review on Facebook or wherever after we launched that can affect the entire bank image and reputation. I think this gave us a better visibility into what our users really value versus the features that they simply wouldn't use. It would have been a shame to invest much time and resources into a feature or product that would eventually gain no use.
So basically what you're saying is, and for those of you who are chiming in now, Applause basically gave you access to our community, to our, if we're looking locally in the Israeli market, thousands of different potential testers and potential users. And you would develop a feature, right? And then you would launch it to the community. They would test it, give you their feedback, authentic feedback in an unbiased way, and then send it back. And you would basically take that and, use that data in order to either improve or discontinue a certain product. It sounds to me like what you were basically gaining here was a glimpse into the future, and you would basically take that and embed it into your development cycle or design phase.
Exactly.
So in that case, can you maybe explain a bit more how Applause helped empower, say, your product and QA teams? Because, from what it sounds, many people might think that, we might be here to replace your internal teams, but that's obviously not the case. So maybe from, in your words, how did we help empower the teams?
Well, when it comes to validate our product, there really is no substitute for a real world feedback. Applause enable us to what we call the outside-in approach.
That's interesting. What does that mean? I've never heard.
Yeah. It basically means that instead of trying to guess what works and what doesn't, simply ask your customers, right? I mean, it's not only true for UI, UX, but also the ability to test products from a functional standpoint, validate payment instrument through payment testing, and test all the edge cases through exploratory testing. And I think these are only a few examples. So if I think about it now, the real challenge we were facing was actually the ability to uncover blind spots and friction points in our journey, but to figure them out before releasing our products. I think that's pretty much the main difference between testing products in a lab as opposed to testing them in the real world. I think the elements of the real world simply don't apply in the lab. So no matter how hard you try to simulate it. How did you say before? I think where customers sleep, eat, and play.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, right. So if not for Applause, we never would have been able to uncover these blind spots until it was too late, and the stakes were very high.
Very cool. Interestingly enough, many times we can design, we can spend all our resources or all times and effort on designing a product that we think is impeccable, that we think is, perfect. But the harsh reality is that our customers, they don't care so much how much time, effort, and energy we put into our product. If they encounter a friction point along the way or can't perform a transaction or their journey's cut short for whatever reason, there's very little loyalty today in the market. I can say for myself, as a personal user, if that were to happen to me, I'd probably, delete the application or move on to the competitors. So we really only have, as they say, you have one chance, to make a first impression. And that's why this is so important to be able to validate instead of, very cool. So let's talk about some impact and some results. Can you think of any examples of say, issues that maybe were uncovered by Applause that made a big difference to your product?
Let's see. I think working with you guys really helped us make data-driven decision, which heavily relied on the testers' feedback. I think without that feedback, we would have walked blindly. I can say that many times it had an effect on the product at large and all the way down to the features and functions of the application.
Mm-hmm.
And actually working with you guys was a game changer in that respect.
Nice. Very cool. Do you think there are any unexpected results through working with us, or any issues that came to light with your products that you weren't previously aware of?
Unaccepted results. Well, I can say that it helped us very much to simplify the onboarding process, mainly the KYC. And this was mostly due to the feedback from hundreds of Applause's users and testers. We were able, with that, to remove friction points and drastically shorten the process. Not sure if everybody are aware, but onboarding new customer to a bank may look simple to the user, but it's not a small task. It requires user authentication and involve personal data, which needs to be authenticated. So many moving parts. And I think honestly, without Applause and the testers, this would be pushed out our product release by months. So by let's say by working with you guys, it gave me the confidence I needed it gave me the confidence I needed that the products we were releasing were valid and free of any critical issues. And it didn't matter who the user was or what device they're using on what network they were on. We all knew, and I knew, that they were having a positive experience, and that's what mattered.
Nice. So basically, this gave you that extra layer of confidence when you knew that you were releasing a product into production, right? That you've tested from all angles, including that extra layer of testing it in the real world. And that's how you validated it. And you had that confidence to say, okay, no matter what, I know that they're going to have a positive experience. So if I were to summarize it, but bottom line, considering that the audience here are not all from fintech companies, based on your experience by working with Applause, who do you think can benefit from our solutions?
And that's an easy question. I think any B2C company that has a customer-facing application should right now call you or the other guys at Applause and ask for a contract immediately.
Okay, and you're not biased.
No, not at all.
Not at all. All right. Great. Well, thank you, Roy. I mean, those are all the questions that I had today. From my standpoint, it's very insightful. Always great to meet up with you and get your insights. I think we have a couple of questions coming in from the crowd. Let's see. There's a question from Rafi. How to measure our product success in testing? Collect the data and then benchmark data, or what? It's an interesting question. How do you measure the product success? Well, in the end of the day, there are all sorts of success metrics that are out there, like the NPS score or CSAT scores. But relaying back to what Roy had mentioned, it isn't enough to test your products in-house, because the elements of the real world, they don't apply, in the lab. If you think about it, the devices that you test on in the lab are sterile devices. But if I take my own device right here, right, it's probably it's affected by the elements of the real world. You don't know, what device I'm using or OS combination I have. You don't know how much memory I have on my phone. You don't know how many applications I'm running in the background. And the list really goes on. So when I use my product, or how I consume my product, is not necessarily how you've designed it. But the more insights you gain from the outside, from the real world, helps you validate the overall success of the product that you are that you're about to launch. I hope that answered your question. Another question that we have coming in is, what is the first step if I need to do crowd testing for my product with Applause? I would say your
That's
first
what I
step
said in the end. Just
Yeah.
give them a call.
Exactly. Give us a call. Contact us either through the platform or on LinkedIn or through the website, or me directly, and we'd be happy to have a conversation and learn about about your company, about your product and your brand. So gladly so. I think those are the questions that came in. There's another one here. What are the things we can do to optimize product testing? So I think Roy can say for himself. I think we spoke about that today. Optimizing testing. It doesn't rely so much on how much headcount you have, in your company, how many QA engineers you have. You'll always be missing. There'll be that missing layer, that blind spot that we spoke about, that you would need to uncover in order to fully understand how your solution works in the real world. Because,
couldn't say it better.
Yeah. I see another question here. How do you synchronize regression testing with ongoing development phase? Well, that's more of a product-related question. But if I were to take it to the Applause world, so we can do that in parallel. Meaning the Applause team and our testers can basically work step by step with your release cadence. So if you have an ongoing development phase, we know how to do what's called in-sprint testing. We can test, much earlier in the process, what we call shift left, and enable your internal teams to focus on the back end. While if you have the build, we can run regression tests in parallel, and so we can cover the front end. So there's that ongoing sort of synchronization between the Applause team and your development team. We're not asking you to change anything. We're just asking you to let us do all the heavy lifting so you can focus on the important stuff. Another question by Mega. For a new product, what is the best method to test the product? How long, ideally, to run testing? That's
Depends.
entirely
I think.
Yeah, go ahead, Roy.
Depends. I'm sure there's a difference between testing banking products for, let's say, versus like mobile or e-commerce stuff. But I can tell you for sure, Mega, the manager, the staff manager from Applause will give you the best advice, because it even depends within the bank testing between KYC and taking a loan or a mortgage or just issuing a credit card. For each product, for each item, they gave us the best advice, and I can really say you can just trust them and go with them.
Awesome. We have another question. Okay, Anita, how do you synchronize regression testing with? I think that question came in already.
Said it.
Yeah. So if there are no more questions, let's wrap this up. Thank you, Roy, for your time and your efforts here. Very, very much appreciated, and great to have you with us as always. And enjoy the rest of your stay in Singapore. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, everybody. Thanks for having me here. Thanks, Chad, for everything.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right.
All right. Thanks so much, Chad. And thanks so much, Roy, of course. Thanks to the Applause and Cal teams. Up next, we got a keynote session on improving SaaS onboarding experience for higher retention. So if you want to catch that, don't go away.